everybody, and welcome back to the Tal Kessel circuit here at Teufelstal, round 11 of the FIA Motocross World Championship with me, Paul Malin, and Jason Thomas from Fly Racing. This is the Liqui Moly MXGP of Germany, and MXGP Race 2 about to get underway here, the final race of the day, 30 minutes plus 2 laps. The first time we came here was back in 1971. The winner that day, the Belgian legend, the 6-time world champion on a 250 Suzuki, Jorge Prado. We didn't actually come back here until 1993, but it was another Belgian legend who was victorious that day on a 500cc Husaberg. And since then, we've now had 48 different winners because we've just had a winner in MX2. Tim Geiser arrives here as the championship leader and a 3-time winner here as well. Will he be standing on the top step of the podium for the 4th time? And he'll just be one behind Tony Cairoli, the 9-time world champion, if he does that, because Cairoli has 5 wins, Geiser has 3. Alongside him, Jeffrey Hurlings, Stefan Everts, Mikael Pichon, Joel Smets. Kenny Roxon has 2 wins here from his MX2 days. Simon Langenfelder was hoping to emulate that today, but if you've not seen the MX2 race, I won't spoil things for you, just in case. But Tim Geiser victorious here, 2019, 2021 in the MXGP category, and the first time in 2015 in MX2. Seeing the racetrack, just under 1,600 meters long. Riders are back in the waiting zone, and we will be showing you the highlights of MXGP Race 1 in just a few moments' time. But up on the podium there, Mama Roxon. Here is what happened in MXGP Race 1 a couple hours ago now. Over on the far side, Tim Geiser got a fantastic start as Jorge Prado got squeezed behind the 41 of Paul Jonas, his 3rd Vauxhall shot of the year for the 243, the championship leader. Jonas was there in 2nd, back from injury. Roman Febvre 3rd on the Kawasaki, and then behind him, the 2 gas machines of Guadagnini and Prado as Seawork just cruised past Febvre into 3rd as early as lap 3. Eventually, having been caught and passed by his teammate, the 101 Guadagnini, Prado did go through, but not for long. And these two were just banging elbows a little bit too often for the team bosses there, but eventually Prado did work his way back into that 5th position. Ruben Fernandez wasn't taking any prisoners either. The number 70 charged down the inside of Guadagnini to move himself up a position as well. He eventually got himself into 5th place because Jorge Prado tipped over in that slow right-hander. Guadagnini also went through into 6th, and Prado eventually came home in 7th place. Henry Jacobi, the 29, on the JM Honda, and Mitch Evans of Australia for Team HRC. They battled throughout the entire race for 8th and 9th. Evans came out victorious ahead of Jacobi. The standing construct Husqvarna of Paul Jonas. Solid 2nd for every single lap. 3rd for Seawork from lap 3. That's how things stayed. But it was Tim Geiser who crossed the line, victorious for the 11th time already this season. And a good return for him as well, because he hasn't won since Italy Race 2, Maggiora. So Tim Geiser victorious in Race 1 from Paul Jonas, Jeremy Seawork, Febvre and Fernandez. Here's Lisa. She's with Jorge Prado.
We're almost ready for the final race of the day, MXGP Race 2. Let's catch up with Jorge Prado from Red Bull Gas Factory Racing. Jorge, let's quickly talk about that first race. You put in so much work to pass your teammate. A little mistake in the end. It's just turned out to be quite a frustrating one, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it started from the start. I didn't got a perfect jump, bad start, and then I tried to regroup. I got to my teammate. He made it quite tough, so I lost some ground with the leaders, and then I catch Romain, and then he was going slower, but I just couldn't pass him just when I got to him, so I lost my rhythm, and when I was kind of regrouping again, I lost the front in the corner, so yeah, very frustrated, but we got another chance now. Hopefully we can get a good start and push till the end.
Is it fair to say with a track like this, you really need to find the balance between being patient and aggressive? You can't attack it straight away.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, in the last years that we raced here, the ground was way softer. Like it was like way more ruddy, and you had to go more on the packs and stuff. But now it's super hard, and you got in some places just super hard ground, and there are some ruts, but not that many like it used to be. So it's different ground. We need to get used to it, and like you said, it's you need to find the balance.
Have a good race. Thanks, Jorge. Okay, good luck to all the guys. It's time for the final race, MXGP Race 2.
Here's how the championship looks then. The top 5 coming into race 2. Tim Geiser winning race 1. He's now on 463, but with the injured and absent Maxime Renault, that gap now 98 points. Jeremy Seewer 6 adrift in 3rd. Jorge Prado 13 points further back. And then we've got Glenn Koldenoff, another 29 further back. So that's your top 5. A little bit of grooming going on down on the start straight. Here's the calendar. We are now about to complete round 11, the Liqui Moly MXGP of Germany here at Teushenthal. 2 weeks' time we go to Indonesia, and then a few weeks after that we are back in the thick of things. Czech Republic and Belgium back-to-back, a week off. Sweden, Finland, France back-to-back. That's going to be a tough job. A week off, and then we go to the final 2 rounds, Turkey and Oman. So a pretty difficult and heavy run-in for the final few races. And of course, if that's not enough, we head to the Redbud circuit for the Monster Energy FIM Motocross of Nations. Jason Thomas alongside me. How much are we looking forward to the Monster Energy Motocross of Nations this year?
I'm already excited. As an American, we're looking for a little bit of redemption. 2018 didn't really go to plan, and I think fans and riders are already both in preparation mode.
Here's how the riders line up. Tim Geiser on pole for the 3rd time this year. Ahead of Paul Jonas, Jorge Prado, Jeremy Seewer, Mitch Evans, Romain Fevre, Ruben Fernandez and Henry Jacobi. Glenn Koldenoff and Jeremy Van Hoorbeek round out the top 10. What did you make of race 1, Jason Thomas? Tim Geiser taking his 11th win of the season and his first in, what, 7 races?
Yeah, that was exactly what he needed. He's been on form all weekend, and I wouldn't be shocked to see him run away with another one. He just looked like he finally has bounced back. You know, got all the bad luck out of the way and just looks, picture perfect so far. Tim
Geiser already an essence of calm behind the grid as he focuses on a perfect start here in MXGP Race 2. Wondering who will be challenging him. Well, this rider right here, Paul Jonas, stayed 2nd throughout the whole race. He was only about 6 seconds adrift by the time the checkered flag fell. So will the standing construct Husqvarna rider have something for Tim Geiser? What about Jorge Prado? Frustrated in race 1, not being able to capitalize on 4th when he was behind Romain Fevre. But he'll be hoping for better this time round. And Jeremy Seewer, 3rd in the race. He's effectively 2nd in the championship, but without his teammate here. Could be a big day for him as well if he can get the better of Tim Geiser and Paul Jonas. Romain Fevre, 4th in race 1, a fantastic return to action after being out for about 6 months. What did you make of his performance, Jason?
Pretty strong. I'm kind of wondering where his energy level will be for race 2. It's been a long weekend already, and having to deal with guys like Ruben Fernandez here that are tons of energy in race 2. It's going to be a tough task, but he looks much better than I anticipated.
And actually, when he came over the finish line, he was shaking out that left arm. Glenn Koldenoff messed up on the start. When I spoke to him during the break, he said he just got a little bit of lift on the front end. The back end then spun up on the monster plate, and that's what cost him a good start. So we'll be hoping for a better one this time out. And Mitch Evans, who was solid in race 1, came home in 8th. Can he improve on that? We'll soon find out. Looks like everybody's in position there. We'll get a green flag at the back, and then we'll get a green flag down the front from our FIM race director, Mr. Ingo Parch. And there it is, right on cue. Fly Racing, 15-second board up for the final time today. MXGP Race 2 here, the Liqui Moly MXGP of Germany. All eyes looking down from the skybox, the podium area, as this MXGP race about to burst into life. 5-second board has turned. Gate drops here in Germany for the final time. And it's Seewer who leads and grabs the foxhole shot for the first time this year. Jeremy Seewer. Geiser just there behind him. Prado around the outside. On the number 61, looking to go from 3rd to 1st. Not going to make it happen through here, though, but it's Seewer who leads on this opening lap. Geiser jumps past the Spaniard to try and take over 2nd. A quick look over his shoulder. to see what room he's got to work in, but he's going to cut to the inside here. So too does Prado. Fernandez there in 4th, Jonas in 5th, Valandrin in about 7th. He is there with Henry Jacoby, the number 29 alongside him, who's obviously on fire here in the early part of this second race in front of his home fans.
Well, and if these guys wanted any chance of beating Geiser in race 2, this is exactly what they needed to do. They need to get him out of his comfort zone, need to put him under pressure. And yeah, you know, Jorge is very good at riding from the front, but even saying that, Tim's already on the move.
Tim Geiser gets around the outside of Prado, moves into 2nd position and immediately goes after Jeremy Seewer. He was in cruise mode in race 1, and he's up on the pegs alongside the Swiss rider right now. Seewer puts the scrub on him and the squeeze on him at the top of the hill. That might let Prado back in. Oh, Jonas and also Fernandez had problems there as well. Where are the yellow flags? Well, they're there, but riders can't see them. The sun is right in their eyes as they take off on that part of the racetrack. Wonder if we've got another angle of that. But Seewer, no problems for him, but Jonas out of 5th place.
Yeah, really unfortunate. You know, 2nd place in race 1. Seems like Podium probably gone now. But it does open the door for the rest of these guys. Prado had a really tough race 1 and has a chance for redemption.
Jeremy Seewer, 3rd in race 1, leads race 2. But he has the race 1 winner behind him, Tim Geiser, who's also the championship leader. Talk about trying to flex your muscles and assert your authority. The top 2 in the championship as they sit right now then. Going at it. So Paul Jonas picking himself up at the top of that hill, down in 27th place. Massive mistake for the Latvian. Meanwhile, making their way towards the end of this first lap, getting through there. See the difference, jumping long. The first 2 riders, Prado decided to roll and be a bit more casual. How much time does that cost the Spaniard?
Well, we wondered if that line that some of the MX2 riders were using would be picked up, and it seems like the first 2 there, and Seewer and Geiser are already on top of it. It'll be interesting to see if Prado can learn from that and adapt to it, because it's clearly quicker.
First lap complete then, and Geiser, the fastest rider on track by 2/10 over Jeremy Seewer. The gap less than a second, as you can see right now on screen, but it's Jeremy Seewer who holds a nice tight line there, and it's effective as well. No way through for Geiser. Prado 3rd, Fernandez 4th, Valandrin 5th, Evans 6th, Fevre in 7th position. Going to be good enough for 5th overall if he stays there, but obviously we're still only in the early stages of this second race. Then we've got Jacoby, Koldenhoff and Bogus rounding out the top 10. It'll be interesting to see what happened here a lap ago.
Yeah, and it really feels like Geiser has speed to burn here. It feels like he's waiting on Seewer almost every section of the racetrack right now, and if he can make a pass, I don't think he'll be around for long.
Wind picking up as well around this racetrack. Number 66 going through there a moment ago, Tim Koch from Germany, but here is Jonas. So a lap ago, this is what happened. So over on the right-hand side, he's alongside Fernandez. I think they hit here. Watch this. He gets pushed over onto the right-hand side, lands in now. But look, even Fernandez almost into the back of Prado. Big lucky escape there for 3 riders at least.
Fernandez is just one of those guys where you don't really want to tangle with. You know, their level of fear and caution just seems to be off the radar. Jonas learned the hard way there. Thankfully, he's okay, right? He has a chance to move back forward. You see him tripling back up and moving back through the field, but that's obviously not how he wanted to start race 2.
A little bit of bodywork damage on the side of Jonas's machine as well. That's going to interfere with that left leg in and around that foot peg area, but hopefully it won't be too much of a problem for him. Here's Tim Geiser scrubbing his way. He was a little bit short there. Manages to fight another lap. But already, that has now cost him 1.8 seconds as Seewer continues to lead. So, good start for Jeremy Seewer.
Really
as
good
we said, his first pass over the whole shot line this year. Valandrin and Fernandez with Evans right there. And I tell you who the lucky one was in that incident on the first lap on that uphill triple. Prado, because did you see the speed in which Fernandez carried? He tripled in, probably expected Prado to. He was already committed and almost cleaned him out. He would have not known what was coming. Fernandez, number 70, lead rider in shot. He has got Evans behind him, but still a long way to go in this second MXGP race here in Germany. Calvin Belandren on the Gavin van Venrooy Yamaha, top of the hill through the right-hander. Fernandez there ahead of Evans. These two, 3, 4th, 5th and 6th at the moment.
Just behind them, you see Roman Febre trying to work forward. Didn't get the start he wanted. He's making his life a little bit harder than it needed to be. But still, for our first weekend back, this hasn't been so bad, right? He's in the mix. You can see the, I don't say the lead group, but he's been near the front all day.
Yeah, he'll be pleased with the performance, I guess, irrespective of what happens in this race. But look how dry the circuit is now in terms of loose stones coming towards the top, making it very loose and marbly as well. So the front, the riders, irrespective of what tyre choice you have, when you're on marbles like that, ineffective no matter what choice of tyre you run, like intermediate or a soft tyre. And then you've also got the hard ground, the hard, slick, baked ground. You've got those edges. You've got a little bit of loam here and there. Absolute tyre manufacturer's worst nightmare in terms of helping riders to pick a tyre choice as well. Because when you go to a training ground, you don't get to riding conditions like this, which is at the end of an MXGP race weekend.
Yeah, and all that pliability that's been in the dirt for most of the weekend is now gone, right? They've done a really good job today compared to yesterday of keeping moisture in it, but you can see how hard those bumps are getting, and it's like hitting street curbs. Just takes a toll on you lap after lap.
Jeremy Seewer so far this season, a race win last weekend for the first time, a Grand Prix victory as well at home in France, just across the border from his home. And at the moment, he leads race 2 here in Germany by almost 2 seconds over Tim Geiser. That's what the gap was at the last split. So are we going to see Tim Geiser just settle for a second place, knowing that it's going to be the overall victory? He's already got 98 points over his nearest rival at the start of the race. So just looking up there, look, 384 and 485. It'll be 101 over Jeremy Seewer, who will move past his teammate. And so too will Jorge Prado, as Renault drops to 4th, 1 point behind the Spaniard. So Tim Geiser will probably just sit back for a moment or two, try and figure out the track, the circuit conditions, where he may be quicker than Seewer. And then he may just find another gear and strike towards the end of the race. So brace yourselves for that one.
Yeah, it was a great job by Seewer there of kind of withstanding that surge. You could see guys are really trying to make a move so he could check out. And Jeremy wasn't allowing it. He's actually putting in the quickest stops of the race. So not only was he able to withstand it, he's actually pushing the pace. Yeah,
fastest sector 2 and 3, Jeremy Seewer, and a personal best in sector 1 as well, his fastest. So again, that gap already going out to 2.5 seconds as he hits the line with the fastest lap of the race, a 1:51.5 compared to a 52.7. The gap now 3 seconds just between the last split and the finish line between Seewer and Geiser. So are we seeing Geiser go into preservation mode, or is there going to be a surprise towards the end of the race? Number 70, Ruben Fernandez in 5th place. He has Calvin Belandren ahead of him, so the Honda 114 Motorsport rider. You see the dust coming up off the rear wheel of Belandren's Yamaha there, so he's in touching distance of the South African. A better start and a better ride, this one, for Belandren this time around. He was 12th in race 1, circulating in 4th at the moment. We haven't seen this far up the leaderboard, have we, since Sardinia, because obviously Spain, he didn't really get on with it. France, he had all kinds of problems as well with fallen riders. Benoit Patrel's bike, for instance, he landed clean on it. So to see him up there before we head to that 2-week break before Indonesia might just give him a nice little shot in the arm.
Yeah, he's riding really well here. The biggest thing I think with Ruben is he's his own worst enemy a lot of times. Like, he almost tries too hard, makes too many mistakes. So just needs to put in clean laps here, and if he can latch on to the back of Belandren and maybe make a move later in the race, he could find himself moving up closer to a podium in this race too.
In fact, if he finds his way past Belandren, he may be on the podium, because 18 points for in fact, he'll be tied with Prado, wouldn't he? He'll move to 34 points. So 2 Spaniards. Who wants to be the top one? What is the gap? This is Jeremy Seewer. He's leading by 3.4 seconds at the moment. But just a bit of a stand up in the turn there. Back end coming around on him. Nothing too drastic for him to worry about. Sets another fastest lap of the race. Another 0.8 quicker than Geiser. That gap almost 4 seconds now with the Monster Energy Yamaha rider here, number 91. Going to be on the podium. second overall.
I think he has something to prove here, because I found myself even last week, even though he was your overall winner, saying, yeah, but if Geiser was there, if Geiser didn't start on the outside, if Geiser didn't go off the track. So for Seawer, I don't think he loves that narrative. I think he wants to believe he is the best guy, even though the points don't necessarily reflect that on a given day. He feels like he's the fastest guy, and I think he's out to prove that right now.
But also on that token, you've got, riders lead races, or, they fall, they make mistakes all the time, and somebody else will be the beneficiary of that. So, you've got to be in it to win it. And if you are in there ready to pick up the pieces, you could argue you've beat them straight up, straight out, whatever, and obviously Seawer first and the second last weekend got the job done.
Yeah, I mean, this is, he's really backing that up last week for anybody who thought it was a fluke or that he couldn't replicate it. The way he's riding right now, he's putting in consistently lap after lap the fastest laps of the day. So, yeah, I don't think anybody really could kind of clap back at him at all.
Romain Febvre, Kawasaki Racing Team, MXGP, 7th place at the moment, just behind Mitch Evans. And he's closing in on the Australian, so going after a 6th place finish here. That'll give him 4th overall in the Grand Prix as well, if he can find his way past. Ben Watson, meanwhile, down in 15th place at the moment. So Watson solid in race 1. He was 11th for a while, eventually dropped to 13th, but a consistent weekend for Watson. Mitch Evans, though, we spoke to him earlier on in the day, didn't we, just before the second race. And obviously he was, well, actually just before the first race, wasn't it? He was out looking at the track and stuff. He was a rider rep this weekend, for anybody wondering.
Yeah, a bit of the walking wounded for Mitch. I think he just needs to get some consistency and build some momentum and put some races together. So can get the fitness back to where he wants to be and get his confidence back up. But it's been a solid day overall. He's been running around the top 5. Not necessarily pushing the pace forward, but I think these are days where you can really build confidence from.
Just saw Verlanderen flashing out of sight. Here he is coming towards us now. Geben van Venrooy, number 10 on the Yamaha, and the number 70 of Ruben Fernandez. These two 4th and 5th at the moment, about a second apart. Verlanderen, it's weird actually, because when we spoke to him after he was victorious in Sardinia, going 1-1 at that Grand Prix for his first MXGP Grand Prix victory, he did say that he went there with a different mindset, knowing that the guys who beat him there last year were not in the championship this year. And so from that side, he was like, yeah, I should be able to get on the podium. But to win it, he knew he had a chance, but to go 1-1 was unbelievable. But then when he went to Spain the following week, it was a circuit that he didn't have a good feeling with. So he was already talking himself out of a good result that day. Not sure how he's coming to this one, approaching this one, but whatever he did in the first race, he's definitely improved and, looked forward to the second one here.
Yeah, just a catastrophic day in France, too. And a lot of times, if you're going to do well, you have to be the first one that believes you're going to do well. And you could just tell he was a completely different person in Sardinia. But it's really hard to take that everywhere. To convince yourself that you're going to be that guy week in and week out is it's pretty rare. Most guys can't do it.
Fernandez closing in on Calvin Verlanderen, setting purple sectors in Sector 2. Fastest of the race so far for the Spaniard, number 70 here, as he homes in on the number 10, Verlanderen. This is going to be for 4th place. The wind yesterday blowing from right to left to right as we look down. No such problems this time around. A bit offline there for Verlanderen, but he's going to go defensive here in the next turn. Fernandez, just a little bit too deep. Can't find a way through. Verlanderen still hanging on to that 4th place. Prado just around the corner, only a couple of seconds further up the track. He also needs to be careful and mindful of what's going on behind him. As it stands right now with Seawer, Geiser, Prado. Verlanderen here with Fernandez hanging on to 4th though. Which way is Fernandez going to attack? Jason Thomas.
I wouldn't put anything past Fernandez. He's going inside outside. He's trying to be creative, but Verlanderen's played pretty good defense so far. So we'll see. I think it'll be in one of the, the places we've seen passes kind of happen all day. They're coming up to the section headed towards Liqui Mountain. It's got to be on one of the wider sections of the racetrack where he has some room. A lot of these switchbacks, there's really no opportunity.
And as you said earlier, the pliability of the ruts now in the lines, that's all gone. Those ruts are long and they're hard as well. So trying to get across them without losing a front end or a rear end and having some kind of problem, therefore, becoming more and more difficult to do that, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and you see, you know, Febra's front end all over the place coming through that rut. It's just, yeah, the ruts, bumps, everything are really, really hard now, and it's really rigid. It transfers a lot of that energy through the motorcycle and into the body now.
Tiptoeing around, pit lane turn 4 on the racetrack, turn 5 just ahead of him, that drops down towards the Monster Energy finish line. Mitch Evans in 6th. The number 3 of Roman Febvre is in 7th place. Similar lap times for him last time around. Evans this time 52.8. 4/10 quicker was Roman Febvre, but just can't find a way through. Circuit here, a lot of switchbacks, 180s, lefts and rights, and you always get lines spanning out from the inside. Invariably, the inside is normally the quickest route. It's the shortest route. It just depends how it gets chewed up over the course of the weekend. But both riders having to follow their way through there, even if you try to go outside and around the bank, which was effective yesterday, the riders staying away from that this time around, Jason.
Yeah, we saw Tim Geiser using it early on, trying to pass Jeremy Sewer there. You know, didn't really have any success with it, but a lot of the more creative lines that guys were using in race 1 are kind of gone. Like, they're just not able to be used anymore. But I tell you what, if Mitch Evans keeps leaving the inside like that open, Roman Febvre will drive through it here eventually.
Prado just in the opposite corner there. And then the Yamaha of Balandron and Fernandez. Evans here with Febvre just behind him on the number 3. Just looking at the lap times. On podium as well. Geiser 47, Sewer 45, Prado 34, and then we've got Fernandez, Febvre on 32, Evans on 28. So for Mitch Evans, at the moment, 6th overall. That'll be his best overall finish of the season. He was 8th in Argentina, where you could argue there were less riders to you know, go against there, but of the regulars anyway. But here he is. It's going to be a solid ride for him, a solid weekend for him. Didn't race here either last year. That's the podium right there on the left side of your screen, look. So we're just talking small margins between getting on or being off the podium. Prado has it at the moment on 34 points with a 7th and a 3rd. Better ride for the Spaniard this time. Haven't seen too much of him.
You know, watching Febvre here, I wondered how much does he have in him. You know, it's getting late in race 2. Surely, if anything is sore, it's just screaming at him about now, and his energy level it's impossible to come back and be your best self at the first race, and I just don't know how much intensity you'll have as we draw to a close.
Just looking at the timing screen, Tim Geiser just sets the fastest lap of the race, a 1:51.041. The gap now 3.6 seconds between him and the race leader, Jeremy Sewer. He's also gone fastest of the race in Sector 1 as well, 29.5 compared to a 30.4. Loses a 10th in Sector 2, though. We're in Sector 3 now. And is he going to gain again? See, we're there just out of sight. But Geiser, is he just going to spring a last sort of 10 minutes attack? We've seen it in the past with Cairoli time. Are we going to see something similar here from Tim Geiser? My guess is that he's probably just going to say, you know what, let's turn it up, give it 2 or 3 laps. If we make significant gains, we'll go for it. If not, maybe just let him have it, play the safety card.
Yeah, it's really important here for Jeremy Sewer to respond. If he sees Geiser putting in a surge of energy here to try to close that gap down, he's also got to answer that. And if he can shut that down, just like you said, if Geiser doesn't see any success, Geiser will completely back it down and take 2nd in race 2.
There was a great response, though, from Sewer. He also set the fastest lap briefly in Sector 3. Before Van Horbik out of nowhere goes quicker by a 10th. But Tim Geiser, now that gap going back out to 5 seconds, so he would have seen him kind of getting closer to Sewer, and then all of a sudden in the space of the second half of the lap, Sewer has responded and opened it back out. So a good response from the Yamaha man as Geiser just a little bit close to the outside line for comfort there as he came into land. That was just my take.
Yeah, and he was using that line early on. It seemed a bit quicker. It just didn't really have an escape plan. Like, you just couldn't make the pass because you end up on the outside going up that triple. But I like the response from Seawer there. You can't panic. You have to understand the situation and just lower your lap time back down and try to discourage Tim Geiser. Motivation's not high. He's still going to be your overall winner.
Look at this here.
Right now.
Just...
Oh, that's nothing for
mean, it was, yeah.
Yeah, it's nothing.
But he did come in, maybe it's a little bit hot, but he fortunately had a bit of a banking there just to turn into. But anyway.
He jumped onto a completely different section of the racetrack last week. That was nothing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what, missed 2 corners out?
Yeah.
Now, you know what? There was nothing he could do there, though, in France. He was a passenger when he kind of turned left instead of right, over the bank, over the berm, on the run down. He did yield. It could have been
horrific if somebody was coming the opposite direction. Thankfully, there wasn't.
Henry Jacobi there in 8th place. Koldenoff just behind him. So the fans making the noise for Jacobi, who is on course for 9th overall this weekend. If he stays where he is, it'll be his best of the season so far. The rider 15th in the championship before we arrived here. Jeremy Van Horbeke right there as well in the yellow, but it's Jacobi here on the Jackie Martins, the JM Honda Racing machine, as Koldenoff looks to go down the inside, and he does. He makes light work of the German and moves into 8th place. So from out of nowhere, Koldenoff just pounces.
And you see the urgency in Koldenoff here. He can't be happy with this. You know, he's been a podium contender as of late, and to be running on the backside of the top 10 is just not the day he was looking for.
Jeremy Van Horbeke, who didn't finish in race 1, he started 12th. Fell down to 25th, got himself back to 19th before dropping out 3 laps later. Looking to make amends here. He's now up into 10th position, going after Jacobi. And the Beta SDM course rider just running out of time. 8 minutes to go. Jordi Tixier has found his way up the inside of Brian Bogers. Here's how he did it, through the inside there. Tixier now in 11th place. Oh, that was Van Horbeke on, yeah, sorry. I thought it was Tixier because of Bogers there.
Van Horbeke make a nice pass there on Jacobi. He's probably not a crowd favorite at the moment, but yeah, moving forward, he had a kind of a nasty crash there, lost the front end in race 1, so this is a nice bounce back.
Van Horbeke, Jacobi, and Tixier just behind JT 911. Actually, Jerryman doesn't mind hard slick conditions. His only MXGP Grand Prix victory came at Loket in 2015. So obviously these kind of conditions, loose, stony, slick, hard, unpredictable. Looking all right, actually, Van Horbeke. On 54 lap time, so not a contender for sort of like the first sort of 6 or 7 positions, but on a par with Febvre's times. Here's Tim Geiser. He's now 7.4 seconds. And he's definitely dialed it down. He looks like he's going to play second fiddle to Jeremy Seawer in the second race here in Germany. He knows he's going to be on the top step of the podium with a first and a second. But again, just the style of a rider who's very much in control of everything that's going on around him at the moment.
Well, and he gave it a shot, right? He wanted to see how Seawer would respond, and Seawer answered the question, right? It's always one of those things where you're going to ask a question. If the rider up front can answer it, okay, good enough for me. I'll just take second in race 2. And it's always interesting, the intra-race things that go on, the mental, you know, battles of these things, and they're subtle, but they're absolutely happening.
Just saw the gap. About 7 seconds as Geiser in the corner nearest to us and Seawer was going through. That's what 7 seconds looks like on a racetrack like this. Just behind these guys, Prado is in 3rd. He's still about 2.5 seconds ahead of Verlanderen, so managing that gap. Then we have Fernandez in 5th, Evans 6th, and he's still dealing with the threat of Romain Febvre there, number 3, Kawasaki Racing Team. Koldenoff is 9, Van Horbeke 10. Then we've got Jacobi. Van Horbeke 9, Jacobi 10, Tixier 11, Monticelli is 12, having a better ride, the Italian. Then we've got Van Donnick on the Riley Jumbo Yamaha, but with 5 minutes to go, Jeremy Seawer continues to lead Geiser by 7 seconds. Meanwhile, Romain Febvre just losing the toe to Mitch Evans over the last couple of corners. Not by much, 1 or 2 tenths here or there. But for Mitch Evans, Jason Thomas, dealing with the pressure from Febvre pretty well, isn't he? In terms of, yeah, we know Febvre is just coming back from injury, and we don't know how hurt his body is in terms of how sore from 2 days back-to-back riding. Not sure if he's even done that in the last 2.5, 3 weeks since he's been back riding. But you can't replicate racing. You can't replicate these kind of track conditions during your training program as well. Siwa's maybe, Evans maybe not 100% either, but even still, just to have that number 3 behind you pushing you the way that he is, it's good for Evans just to sustain that.
Well, and both of these guys, as you mentioned, they're both hurt. So if they could stop and pause for a second, Evans would probably say, hey, are you hurting? Are you tired? Yeah, me too. Okay, let's keep going.
Yeah.
Right? It's just one of those things where neither of them want to relent. Neither of them want to say uncle. But yeah, that's why they're, you know, factory MXGP riders, is they're able to push through the pain.
Just under 4 minutes remain then, this MXGP race 2. Romain Febvre, the much anticipated return, eventually happening here in Germany. 4th in race 1, he's currently 7th in race 2. That's going to be good enough for 5th overall. Same points as Ruben Fernandez, who will finish ahead of him on countback. 4th, and Prado will finish 3rd overall with 34 points. So just 2 behind the Spaniard, the 2-time world champion. Jeremy Siwa, meanwhile, the Monster Energy Yamaha rider, has been solid in race 2.
Gets the 4 laps to go signal there. He's looking really good here. I didn't think he would be able to sustain that pressure from Geiser, and yeah, really good laps he put in. You know, dropped his pace down into the 151s and kind of checked out. Was able to pass the test that Geiser asked a few laps ago, and that was pretty much it.
Feet up through the corner in that finish line turn, just after the finish line. But he'll be kicking himself now that he couldn't go after Jonas in race 1 as well, because again, in the same way that Geiser couldn't go with Siwa, he couldn't do the same with Jonas in race 1, and that could have made the difference between 2nd overall and back-to-back wins.
Yeah, same kind of dynamic played out in the USA yesterday. Tomac was not able to make a pass, and that ended up costing him the overall.
So there's Geiser top of the hill. Here's Siwa bottom of the hill, working his way back through the valley. Probably just have a quick look across, just having that check. Make sure the distance is not sort of shrinking, but in fact it's going out. 8.4 seconds now.
And Geiser's pretty much removed all the risk, right? He's in full cruise mode now, and rightfully so. You know, he gets the overall, he extends the points lead, all the things you want to accomplish on the day. Yeah,
73 points it was ahead of Maxime Renault. Of course, Renault got injured in the qualifying race yesterday. A couple of compressed vertebrae, a couple of broken vertebrae in the T region. So not sure on the prognosis in terms of how long. Of course, we wish Maxime Renault a speedy recovery. We'll see him on the racetrack when we see him, I guess. But for Tim Geiser, even though he was 73 points clear of Renault, he was only 99 clear of Jeremy Siwa. But that's going to be 101 now after today, who Siwa will move up. But here's Prado, still there in that 3rd place. 1.7 behind him is Calvin Verlandre, and you see the Gavin van Venrooy rider there, just closing in maybe. But just over a minute and 2 laps to go. Again, you have to say that Jorge Prado in control of this one on the Red Bull gas.
Yeah, it's a little bit underwhelming. You know, I expect Jorge Prado to be in the mix to win each weekend. The first race wasn't ideal at all with a crash in there, and this one better, right? 3rd in race 2 is nothing to be upset about, but you'd like to see him stay in touch with the leaders. You'd like to see him at least staying with Geiser and maybe pushing up towards Siwa, and they kind of dropped him here.
And I think he pretty much alluded to that in the team report that we saw in the first race, where he just said for him to stand on the podium on the top step is not enough. And he expects more from himself when you read between the lines.
Yeah, and I think it's coming. But I thought he had made significant progress as of late, and then he almost kind of took a step back today as far as where he stands against Tim Geiser and even Jeremy Siwa.
Yeah, those two, in terms of what they've done in their races today. Tim Geiser in race 1, head and shoulders above everybody. Siwa then doing the same in race 2. Here is your race leader. And Jeremy Siwa just dropping into these slow corners. Just see how loose and rocky that corner is there. Just showing you how easy it is to make a mistake on this now drying ground where all that heavy rock is coming to the surface.
Yeah, and somebody may want to give Seewer the signal that it's all clear. It's only 6 seconds of a lead here, but he's taking a few too many chances for my taste.
What was his best lap of the race? A 1:51.1. He's now circulating 54.2. So obviously with the track deteriorating over the course of 30+2, obviously, you know, the lap time coming down, but maybe a little bit that he has backed off, but maybe in the wrong areas. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, and maybe just thinking about it a little bit too much, right? When you're winning and you get too many thoughts going on instead of just being reactionary. But as long as he doesn't have anything catastrophic here, you see him look over there, that's the telltale signal that he's just managing the race, managing the lead, trying to find where Geiser is on the racetrack.
And actually, Jeremy Seewer has barely sort of strayed from the favoured line. He's pretty much stayed solid throughout the race, hasn't been adventurous and going, oh, this was a problem a lap ago, I'll maybe try inside or outside of that. He looks like he's just remained on that line throughout the whole race.
Yeah, and it's just kind of stick with what works. That's the upside of being in the lead. You don't have to go searching for lines as long as they're working.
And we saw that with Geiser in race 1 as well, around this part of the racetrack. Because he had 7 seconds at one point, he was able just to go, you know what, if I want to just get out of that early, I can. If I want to square it up a little bit differently, I will do. And, you know, if it's smoother, even though he's backing it off, while these guys were probably slamming everything, he was just gaining time in that respect as well, and see we're doing exactly the same look.
Yeah, and some of this corner is really, really nice. Just standing up all the way through, really easy on the throttle, and you really have to respect the racetrack. You can't override it. And Jeremy likes to override racetracks. That's kind of his style. So it's interesting to see him winning on this racetrack.
Just on the run towards the bitchy jump there. So you go left and then right onto that first plateau. You see how broken down the ground was there. I'm just thinking, in the US, obviously, you get hot weather as well, but do you get hard pack tracks like this over there where the ground breaks down on race weekends or not?
Yeah, typically the California rounds that we just went through the last few weeks get that way, especially Fox Raceway, the opener. It's really difficult to keep any moisture in them at all, and especially as we go back to California later in the season, you get into August and September, it's going to be just like this in some of the sections. It's almost impossible to keep moisture in them.
Watch this here. I watched this a moment ago. Front end just got away from here, and then as he came in, watch the back end. Just kicks out a little bit, but manages to keep it up on 2 wheels. Nothing too much to worry about. Feet up through here nicely, just after the finish line.
Yeah, just super smooth, not too much throttle. See him stand up almost all the way through that corner as well.
So Jeremy Seewer then enters the final lap. He has a 7-second buffer between himself and Tim Geiser. He got to the lead early. He got that all-important hole shot right at the start of the race, and then from there, he tried to check out. Geiser tried to keep him honest, had nothing for him, tried again a little bit later on in the race with another sort of mid-race surge. Wasn't able to bring that gap down. He did briefly, but then it went straight back out to about 5 seconds. And from there, Jeremy Seewer has pretty much managed the gap between first and second. And he's on course for a second race win in successive weekends. And, of course, his second race win of the campaign as well. Win number 13 in his career, by the way. And it'll be second overall in the podium classifications as well, with a third from race 1 and a win here in race 2. And all of a sudden, Jeremy Seewer, his championship coming to life. It'll be his 4th podium of the campaign. But Tim Geiser, though, will remain the championship leader, and he will extend his lead to more than 100 points over his closest rival, which will be Jeremy Seewer. 101 points now as we head to Indonesia. What have you made of the weekend from Jeremy Seewer?
Yeah, impressed. I think he just backed up what we saw last weekend. And, you know, everyone always talks about these one-off weekends. You look at Calvin Blinder in Sardinia, he wasn't able to really back up that form. So I think it says a lot when you can come in, you have all the hype. You know, it's been a big week. I'm sure everyone was so excited around him. And to do this again speaks volumes.
Jeremy Seewer rounds out the final turn here at the Liqui Moly MXGP of Germany. He wins race 2 and takes second overall. Tim Geiser, though, on his way to the checkered flag. It's going to be his 95th podium, his 40th career victory. He moves clear of the late, great Eric Gabors, and he is standalone now on that podium classification. But for Tim Geiser, another Grand Prix victory here, this time round 11 in Germany. And he is now 101 points clear of Jeremy Seewer, who moves up to second, and Jorge Prado, who will take third and move to third in the championship. So Tim Geiser then wins the Liqui Moly MXGP of Germany here at Teushenthal. And he does it with his 40th career victory, his 95th podium, and his 4th win here at the Talkessel circuit. Jeremy Seewer wins race 2. And he makes it to the second step of the podium. Jorge Prado, third in the race, third overall of the day, up to third in the championship. The Red Bull Gas factory rider. A solid day, but we'll hear what he has to say after the podium. But the German fans saluting Henry Jacobi, who finishes the race in 11th and 10th overall. And Tom Cock, the 226. On the KTM Cossack team as well. So 2 Germans there celebrating in front of the fans. They're all smiles. I'm sure they'll enjoy a little bit of light refreshment a little bit later on as well. 2 weeks before the next round, why not? So we wait to catch up with Tim Geiser, who should be on his way to the winner's enclosure for a quick word with Lisa Leyland. Right, here is Tim. But is he already ready?
Tim Geiser, 7th overall of the season. All day you seemed totally in control, some smart races. This weekend was a big weekend for your championship.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was enjoying a lot. Second race was quite sketchy with the sun already quite low. But anyway, I didn't have the best start. I was third or fourth, and I came behind Jeremy. He had a good speed, and I was quite happy to sit on the second place because it was quite dangerous if you push too hard. So yeah, quite happy.
Thank you.
Tim Geiser celebrates from the top step of the podium here in Germany for the 40th time, his 95th career podium as well. The Team HRC rider, victorious round 11 at the Liqui Moly MXGP of Germany. He's 101 points clear now of Jeremy Seewer, who moves up to second, Jorge Prado, who moves to third. But congratulations, Tim Geiser and Team HRC. I think it was a GoPro 1-2 there as well, wasn't it? Both those two, Seewer and Geiser. Anyway, Jeremy Seewer wins race 2 ahead of Tim Geiser and Jorge Prado. Carvin Valaram 4th, Ruben Fernandez, Mitch Evans, Roman Fevre, and Glenn Koldenoff rounding out the top 8 ahead of the Jerryman, Jeremy Van Horbeek, and Jordi Tixier. Henry Jacobi, Brent Van Donnick, Pauls Jonas, having fallen on that opening lap, got himself back to 13th, ahead of Jed Beaton and Tom Cock. And then we've got Brian Bogers, Ben Watson, Ivo Monticelli, Mattia Guadagnini. And the final rider in the points there, just couldn't quite see. But Tim Geiser, victorious here at the Liqui Moly MXGP of Germany with a win and a second. Jeremy Seewer on the podium again with a third and a win. Prado, 7-3 for the third step of the podium. Tim Geiser extends his championship lead now. 101 points separate him from the newly second positioned rider, Jeremy Seewer. Jorge Prado climbs to third. Renault, injured this weekend, drops to fourth. Koldenoff remains fifth. An eventful GP here at Teushenthal this weekend. Manufacturers' Championship. No change in the first 4. Honda still lead the way from Yamaha, Gas and Husqvarna, but Kawasaki move ahead of Beta. KTM still there in 7th. Take a look at the foxhole shot, shall we? Jeremy Seewer, for the first time this year, picking up a black plate for Monster Energy Yamaha Factory MXGP. Of course, he will move ahead of Ben Watson, Calvin Villar and Paul Jonas and Koldenhoff, who also have won. But it's Jorge Prado who leads the way from Tim Geiser and Henry Jacobi. Third overall this weekend at the Liqui Moly MXGP of Germany here at Teushenthal. Jorge Prado, a 7th and a 3rd for the Spaniard on the Red Bull Gas Factory racing machine. Looked like it was a tough day today. Circuit conditions all weekend, actually. Pretty tough. 2nd overall, Jeremy Seewer. Lots of home support for this Swiss rider for Monster Energy Yamaha Factory MXGP. A 3rd and a win for the Smurf. But all the noise, not just for Seewer, but also Tim Geiser. Team HRC on the top step of the podium, a 1st and a 2nd. After missing the podium the last 3 rounds, it's business as usual for Geiser, who stands on the top step for the 40th time in his career. Martin de Graaf, the FIM Europe president, delivers a 3rd place trophy to Jorge Prado. Just the 10th time 11th time Prado has finished 3rd overall. Jeremy Seewer 2nd overall. Jens Uwe Anke, the MSC Teushenthal chairman, hands a 2nd place trophy to Jeremy Seewer. His 44th podium, his 17th as a 2nd place finisher. But Tim Geiser from Team HRC, Sandro Cortese, former Moto3 world champ and Liqui Moly rider. Great to have Sandro here this weekend. Hands the winner's trophy to Tim Geiser, Team HRC. As we've said, 95 podiums, 40 of those as a winner. The latest coming here, round 11 in Germany. Andreas Kosban, MSC Teushenthal, hands the winner's trophy. Another one to Giacomo Garibaldi. And he'll celebrate with the team down there, of course. Team HRC. Championship leaders, red plate, a massive step forward for Tim Geiser. Antonio Alia Portela, the FIM CMS director, congratulates everybody else. But Tim Geiser keeps hold of the red plate, and he's extended his lead to 101 points now over his nearest rival. Tim Geiser, the winner here, the national anthem of Slovenia, but for Team HRC and Honda, the national anthem of Japan, winning manufacturer this weekend. The top 3 here this weekend, round 11 of the FIM Motocross World Championship, the Liqui Moly MXGP of Germany at the Talkessel Circuit. Germany ends with Tim Geiser on the top step for the 40th time in his career. 2nd overall Jeremy Seawer with a third and a first. Third overall for Jorge Prado with a 7th and a 3rd. We'll talk to the top 3 in just a few moments' time. MXGP Race 2. Jeremy Seawer with the foxhole shot for the first time this year on the Monster Energy Yamaha. Around the outside, Jorge Prado tried to get alongside Tim Geiser. He was there briefly, but he went to the outside. Geiser tucked to the inside. Jacoby was just behind him in 4th. It was that Fernandez, actually, and then Jacoby. But Seawer got himself into pole position, made sure of it. And then watch this here. Jonas went down. Almost took Fernandez with him, but also clipped Prado nearly, very nearly. That was Van Hoorbeek on Bogus as he carved his way through further up the field. And then we had Glenn Koldenoff nipping up the inside of Henry Jacoby in the later stages of the race to nip into 8th place. Jacoby eventually came home in 11th because Van Hoorbeek also found his way through. And so too did Tixier late on. But Jorge Prado, solid in 3rd. No reply for the 2 guys ahead of him, Tim Geiser and Jeremy Seawer. Seawer went on to win the race by 7 seconds over Tim Geiser. Prado was 3rd, but the overall Grand Prix victory belonged to Tim Geiser. And here he is with Lisa.
Tim Geiser, another victory for you. Cruise mode in race 1, race 2, a little bit more work to do, but it looked like you just kind of settled, played it safe in the end. It must be really nice to hear your anthem after a tough few weeks.
Yeah, exactly. I'm super happy going 1-2. First moto was perfect, actually, with whole shot and then leading all the laps and making a little gap. Second one, I didn't get the best start. I came through the pack and then I was behind Jeremy, and then he had a good pace, and yeah, I just settled for a 2nd place. I think it's a good weekend, you know, especially after 3 weeks struggling. So yeah, really looking forward to going to Indonesia in 2 weeks' time. Big thank you to all my team, everybody around me, so all the fans, thank you very much, guys.
Thank you. 2nd overall today we have Jeremy Seawer. Jeremy, a 3rd in race 1, a foxhole shot and another race win for you. You managed the race, you managed your lead. You look like you're in control out there.
I definitely was. I mean, I think this was one of my best rides on a 450 in that 2nd moto. I mean, that was a clear statement, whole shot, you know, and I went, and my riding was super good, smooth, controlled, you know, fast. I was enjoying, you know, and Tim was super strong all weekend, like nearly unbeatable in some way, and now I could beat him, so that's a good one. I'm 2nd on the podium, back to back, and now, yeah, I really found my flow. Confidence is back, bike setup is back, so looking forward, lots of racing to go.
Thank you, Jeremy. 3rd overall today we have Jorge Prado. Jorge, frustrating first race, but a much better race 2 for you. You seemed like you were in control. Were you?
Well, I was 3rd, so that's the best I could do. Got 2nd, 3rd out of the gate, and battling a little bit the first lap, I think, maximum with Tim for that 2nd spot, and then he passed me, and Seawer and team just pull away, and I was just sitting 3rd alone. Just the guys behind me attacking me from lap 1. So yeah, it was better in the first one, but I was struggling today with the track. I didn't have a good flow, so I didn't have the speed these guys had. So yeah, I just need to get back to work. Next one is Indonesia, so it will be a hard one. I will get prepared for that one, and hopefully we can get some points in the next round. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
The number 61, Jorge Prado, celebrates his 61st podium here in Germany, and for the 11th time as a 3rd place finisher in his career. Jorge Prado will go back to the table, regroup, and come out firing in Indonesia in 2 weeks' time. But for now, the Red Bull Gas rider will just reflect on this weekend's 3rd place. Jeremy Seawer, Monster Energy Yamaha. A fantastic win in race number 2, his 13th career race win, a 44th podium for him. And yeah, a step in the right direction. That continues with his win overall last week and 2nd overall here in France. But Tim Geiser on the top step of the podium. 40 Grand Prix wins now for the Slovenian, 95 career